Y'all ready to talk? What's up? What's up?
Don't play with me. Don't play with me.
So y'all already know what's happening by now. Every Tuesday I release an episode, a podcast episode on patreon.com/AdrianExpression. Go over there, check it out, sign up, get your life. I'm about to edit some videos that are going up on my second channel, Avatar Adrian. All the links to that are in my description box. You know I have to get the promo in. Speaking of promo, apparently someone sent me the screenshots of this a couple days ago and I had to look it up to see if it was real. But apparently Time Magazine like briefly mentioned my OnlyFans in an article. The title of the article is Beyonce fans are going to extreme lengths to secure Renaissance tour tickets. You can see the highlighted part here, and it's just a really brief mention. It's not like they wrote up some huge thing on me, but it's really brief. It says a content creator who goes by Adrian Expression started and promoted a new OnlyFans page, and they linked it on his YouTube page to raise funds. Now this is hilarious. This is hilarious. Time Magazine did not have to tell everybody that I was selling peen for some tickets. And let's be very clear here, I'm paying bills before I'm getting any tickets. Like, let's just let's be real on that. But I just thought that was absolutely crazy. Like I said, someone sent me the screenshots and I was like, bitch, I have to look this shit up to see if y'all ain't playing with me. But it's so crazy because I was so nervous about starting now. I was just like, okay, I'm just like gradually introduce it to the people, gradually introduce my OnlyFans to come to the people, you know, not do. And then here come Time Magazine. It's like, okay, y'all don't need to put my peen all over all national. In the national magazine, it's okay. No, but I just thought it was funny. And I thought I would share it with y'all. Speaking of something else that is funny is this whole Halle and DDG and Ruby Rose situation. So if you're looking for a play-by-play of this whole DDG, Halle, and Ruby Rose situation, you're not really gonna get one. I'll just go over some stuff real quick. Ruby Rose apparently exposed DDG's like DMs to her. While him and Halle were obviously together or are together, DDG said that Ruby Rose's screenshots or DMs were CGI, right? He didn't say that it were Photoshop. He said it's CGI. What are you saying? Don't believe that, demon. I rebuke in the name of Jesus. Halle gonna come out and say the devil is working. Please don't feed into the lies, especially from a third party. Stay blessed, everyone. It's just a lot of mess. And a lot of like Chloe and Halle fans have been side-eyeing DDG for a very long time. So I completely understand people's reactions when they're just like, Halle, get away. Halle, get away. But y'all have to remember, how old is Halle? Halle Bailey is 22 years of age. For those of you who are nearing 30 like me, I want you to think about the people you were dating at 22, the people you were attracted to at 22, 21, 20. Like, I want you to think about that era in your life and think about how insane it would be for the tabloids to be and the blogs and all this shit, to be keeping up with your life, for what you were doing when you were 19, 20, 21, 22, to be, you know, national news or some shit like that. Like, just imagine what you were doing at Halle's age. Like, girl, so yeah, on one hand, I'm just like, girl, I don't know, DDG be doing these weird ass pranks and all type of shit on his, whatever. So, and they hang around with Blueface and all that shit. Y'all got Halle hanging around with Blueface. Like, let go of my good sis. Y'all gotta let go of my sis. Yeah, let go of my sis. So that's all I'm saying. Like, it's like, yes, of course, we do not want Halle to be around no knuckleheads, right? But I remember what I was doing when I was 20 and 21 and 22. So you know what I mean? I'm barely just now getting my shit together. So I just can't imagine if all that shit that I was doing, the mistakes that I made, the people that I dated that I should not have, like, I just cannot imagine it if all that shit was out in public, was like national news. Like I said, if I was some national star, international star, and all that shit was on the news. Like, it's like, I get it, girl, I get it, but we gonna need to, I don't know, girl. I want Halle to find someone who ain't doing all this bullshit. That's kind of what I want. But that's what I want. That's her life, you know. I'm just talking. We just talking. So I'm not gonna talk too much about Rihanna because I feel like I've definitely done enough of that on YouTube. Period. Awkward. So I don't want to make this bullshit worse, right? But I think Rihanna's people announced that she was pregnant after she performed at the Super Bowl, and I thought that like the staging for the Super Bowl was cool, like the Super Bowl halftime was cool. Like those platforms, what they were doing, how they were like changing altitude as the performance was going on. The way the stage was set up, the bold white and red colors was really cool. But yeah, I was watching the show and it was like I wanted a little more from Rihanna. I want a little bit more, you know what I mean? I want a little more But I was watching this while not making any presumptions about, like, you know, her body, whatever. So when I found out she was pregnant, I was like, oh, okay, it makes a little bit more sense as to why, to me, it felt like I wanted a little bit more energy in it. You know what I mean? Energy, but I mean, Miss Mama's had so many hits, and I know, like I said before the Super Bowl performance even happened, I was just like, it must have been difficult to try and find some kind of set list that makes sense with all the hits that Miss Mama's got. But yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna say, because I've definitely look back on a lot of my YouTube videos and have taken a lot of them down. And some of the shit that I have said, or I said years ago, was just so ridiculous and so unnecessary. And I know it was like young, but still, I think I'm gonna just stay in my lane. You know what I mean? And that's that. But as far as the Super Bowl and her pregnancy, that's all I'm gonna say. We gonna move on, girls. We gonna move on. All right, so these hoes talk about UFOs, right? They call them, officially, they call them unidentified aerial phenomena, right? And I guess that has been happening. They've been seeing a lot of this shit, like an uptick of this for decades. They unclassified certain documents, certain like videos where pilots came into contact with certain moving objects that they're just like, we don't know how an object could move like this in the fucking first place. But apparently the US then came into contact with or shot down like 4 UAPs. I don't want to call them UFOs, but like UAPs. They talk about Chinese spy balloons, but then, you know, I just feel like they are remaining tight-lipped about certain things. And I'm sure that makes sense if we're talking about foreign countries doing certain things or sending balloons over, or sending objects over. But it seems like there is a large part of this that they're kind of, they just either are not giving us answers about or have not nailed it down specifically, right? I'm just gonna read random stuff that I had copied and pasted in my notes. It's from NPR. Here's the Pentagon press secretary from last Friday talking about Friday's shoot down of that UAP, UFO, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It said, we have no further details about the object at this time, including any description of its capabilities, purpose, or origin. When a reporter asked them on Sunday if the US military has ruled out potential actions by extraterrestrials, he did not dismiss the idea. He said, I haven't ruled out anything. At this point, we continue to assess every threat or potential threats unknown that approaches North America with an attempt to identify it. We call them objects for a reason, they said. And while the initial incident involved a balloon, he added, these are objects. I am not able to categorize how they stay aloft. It could be a gaseous type of balloon inside a structure, or it could be some type of a propulsion system, but clearly they're able to stay aloft. Okay, that's what they said. But then White House Press Secretary Jean-Pierre said on Monday that there is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity with these recent takedowns. John Kirby, who is Biden's National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications, said this. These other 3, he's talking about the 3 that were not the Chinese spy balloon, at least from my understanding. These other 3, they didn't have propulsion. They weren't being maneuvered. It was basically, they were being driven by the wind. We don't know for sure whether they had a surveillance aspect to them, but we can't rule it out. So there was a little bit, or there was enough uncertainty there that, again, out of all abundance of caution, doing the prudent thing, the president directed that they get taken down. So yeah, I do not think that these are aliens. And I know that obviously in a sci-fi world, like obviously if there were aliens coming down, that the government would try to hold off on telling the civilians that for a long period of time, because you don't want to cause chaos. But I personally just do not think that these aliens, like, bitch, they were shot down by the if you were able to get here, if you were able to get to Earth, I feel like you would not be shot down, because how many light years, right? You have to traverse, you have to be so technologically advanced. I don't know. I feel like if you were able to get to Earth, you would be so technologically advanced in the first place that you would not be getting shot down by F-22 Raptors and fucking F-16s and shit and Sidewinder missiles and shit like that. Like, or maybe it would, I don't know. Either way, I don't think that shit's aliens. I think maybe a foreign power or another country. I don't know. And you know how they twist all this shit up. A lot of times they want us to look at these things. They want to distract us. Sometimes, not all the time, right? I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. I'm very much evidence-based, which is why I'm like, you know, I'm just going off of how I feel right now, what the articles and information that I am reading are saying. I don't think it's no fucking aliens. But if you want to distract somebody from looking at this environmental disaster that's happened or that's happening in Ohio, increasing your reporting about UAPs, which have been happening since, I mean, they had a video from 2004 about a UAP, right? So increasing your reporting about these objects, these balloons and stuff would do that, right? Like you try to get people to look away from Ohio, but let me tell you something. I don't know if y'all saw what's going on in East Palestine, Ohio, but there was just like derailment of a train that was holding just toxic chemicals. I mean, fires, explosions went up in the sky and like fucked up residential areas, and it's really bad. It's really bad. Nearly 1 million pounds of vinyl chloride were on this train. Now the EPA has confirmed it has entered the Ohio River Basin, which is home to 25 million people. Of course, that river network means like Ohio River empties into Mississippi. So you're talking about contamination of like a large majority of this country's water supply, right? And of course, there is a corporate greed angle to this, and we will go over this in the video. From the militant, Ohio derailment disaster shows rail workers struggle for safety is crucial. So a 150 car Norfolk Southern train, that's the name of the company, Norfolk Southern train, almost 2 miles long and weighing 18,000 tons, derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, dumping 50 cars on the ground. 5 were tank cars containing dangerous vinyl chloride, which vaporizes into phosgene when burned, the same gas that killed over 75,000 soldiers in the First World War. And I don't know if y'all remember how I don't know, months back or weeks back, I was talking about the rail workers striking, and this apparently was one of their like concerns, like this kind of accident happening. The most recent derailment in Ohio is a reflection of the dangerous working conditions facing rail workers and all those living in the communities alongside the tracks. The rail bosses, backed by the federal government, refused to address any safety or other substantive issues raised by rail workers through our unions in the recent national rail negotiations. In their lust for profits, the railroad bosses are running increasingly long, heavy trains and pushing on rail workers smaller crews, arbitrary schedules, longer shifts, and more work than ever before. Massive cuts have been made in the operating crafts, car inspectors, mechanical maintenance. All this leads to derailments like this, which show that to protect rail workers and all those living near the tracks, our unions need to fight for workers' control of production. So I thought I would bring that to y'all because I remember, like I said, speaking about the rail strike, and like this shit kind of shit happening is the exact kind of thing that these rail workers are talking about. Were talking about when they were protesting. And now, you know, when they're talking about Ohio, they talk about dead fish everywhere. They're talking about even more chemicals than before, than what they thought before were released in the sky. They talking about risk of acid rain. I don't know if they were saying that like the effects of this can be even felt 100 miles from where it started. So it's like, yeah, they talking about UFOs and all this shit and UAPs, and it's like, all right, y'all talking about balloons and spy balloons and drones and all type of shit. But corporate greed, capitalist bullshit is continuing to fuck our asses over, and this is just the latest. Ohio is just the latest bullshit. You know, let me know what y'all think about that. I thought it was wild. I thought it was wild. And so much of my timeline is focusing on these UFOs. And I'm just like, if y'all talking about aliens and shit, if these aliens do not have no technology to help clean up our fucking water, you know what I mean? It does not matter, bitch. Let's talk about what's going on in Ohio. Anyway, thank y'all so much for watching. Love y'all so much. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure that you have a good goddamn evening.
You could blow me, I ain't the only, you so lonely, insecure.